So now we are focusing on how do you solve the simultaneous equations. How do you solve for x and y simultaneously? So I have got a guide for you as always. So now we're going to follow this guide. You are going to get a question on how on solving for x and y simultaneously. Obviously it will be in this form. And then what is it that you will do according to the guide? I'm going to go through the guide. The first one, you name your equations, like having equation 1 and equation 2. Like if you look at these equations, this is your equation 1 and this is your equation 2. Now, the second point, you are going to pick the easiest equation and make x or y subject of the formula and name that equation 3. So now from your equations, as you look at them, you are going to pick the easiest. So now, okay, I'm sorry for that. Now, if you look at this equation and that equation, you pick which one is the easiest. But I think the easiest is this one. So you will pick this one. And then you make x or y subject of the formula. And you name that equation that you have created equation 3. That's the second point. And then you substitute equation 3, the one you have created here. You substitute into equation that you did not pick. So now let's say you pick equation 1 to create equation 3. So that means you're going to substitute equation 3 into equation 2. Now let's say you pick equation 2 to create equation 3. That will mean you are going to substitute equation 3 into equation 1. Simple. And now the hint is use brackets when you substitute and be clinical with your simplification. I'm going to show you how to apply this, how to do this. And then the fourth point is solve. It's either you are solving for x or y first. And then you substitute the value that you solved here. Maybe let's say you solve for x. You substitute this value into equation 3 to solve for y. And then lastly, this is important. Many people solve for x and y simultaneously, but they don't know what they're solving. So now solving for x and y simultaneously is more like finding the intersection between two functions. So now here is an illustration. Let's say you have hyperbola function and then you have straight line function. So now if you look at point A and point B, that's where straight line and parabola meet. So these 2 points, they are called the intersection points. And to find them, you solve for x and y simultaneously. So this is why you are solving for x and y simultaneously, is because you want to find the points of intersection. It's important to know that all the hard work that we are going through is just to find the points or the coordinates of the intersection between two functions. That is important basic for functions. When you do your functions, you will be required to find maybe the coordinates of the intersection points, and then you will know you just have to solve for x and y simultaneously to get those coordinates. Now let's go to the example and see if we can solve for x and y simultaneously using the guide. Let's see if the guide is useful. So now the first point of the guide was name your equations as 1 and 3. So now I want you to see how I rewrite these things. The question in the exam will be like this, and then you have to rewrite them. So I will just start with this one. 3x minus y plus 2 equals 0, and then this will be my equation 1. Beautiful. And then I will write the second one, y equal negative x squared plus 2x plus 8, and then that will be my equation 2. Now we go to the guide. It said name your equations. We did name our equations. We pick the easiest equation and make x or y subject of the formula. The first thing that I'm going to do, I am going to pick my equation. So now between the two, which one is easy? For me, I think equation 1 is easy. So now I will just say from equation 1, and I will write it as it is. So it's going to be 3x minus y plus 2 equals 0. So now I did pick my equation. I did pick my equation, which is the easiest. Now I have to make x or y subject of the formula and name that equation, equation 3. So now, which one is easy to be the subject of the formula? You see, x has that 3, and that's a problem. But if you look at y, it has no 3, so I can make y subject of the formula. I can take this y, since it's negative, I can take it to the other side. If it was positive, I was going to take 3x and 2 to the other side. So now if I take y to the other side, I will have 3x plus 2 equal y. Now, you need to be careful here. Are you aware that y is the subject of the formula? And now we are successful in making one of the variables subject of the formula. So now what we will do is we will name that equation 3. I think writing a subject here was a mistake because it was going to be nice, and then I'll just put 3. So now, but no problem, we can write that here. 3x plus 2 equal y. That is our equation 3. Why are we calling it equation 3? Because y is the subject of the formula. It will depend on your mood. It's either you make y subject of the formula or you make x subject of the formula. It will depend. So now, since we have equation 3, the third point says substitute equation 3 into the equation that you did not pick and use brackets. So which equation did we pick? We picked equation 1. So that means we're going to substitute equation 3 into equation 2. And then you can just highlight here. You can just say sub equation 3 into equation 2. And it's important to write down that equation 2. So y will be negative x squared plus 2x plus 8. So that means here, where we see, remember it said substitute 3 into 2, and here is 2. So that means where we see y, we will put that. So, and here is y. So we will put 3x plus 2. Then we're done. I don't think we need brackets. If x was the subject of the formula, and then we're going to need brackets. So now we don't need brackets. So now equal negative x squared plus 2x plus 8. Now I think this is too much. Let's recap. The first one, you name equation 1 and you name equation 2. And then you pick the easiest. The easiest was equation 1. So here is equation 1. I write it here so that I don't make mistakes. So now I make y or x subject of the formula. I said it will depend on your mood, but pick the easiest way out. So now I take y to that side. So that means where I see y, I will put 3x plus 2. But where in the equation that I did not use, which is equation 2, and here is y. So I will put 3x plus 2. And then let's go to the next step. And the next step says solve. So then solving, remember our child, which is 0. 0 is our child. So if we have 0 that side, that means we have to take the rest of the stuff to the other side. So we will have negative x squared plus 2x plus 8 being joined by 3x, which is positive. If it go to that side, it will be negative. And then also joined by 2, which will be negative. And then now it's just a collection of like terms. So we have negative x squared. So 2 and 3, they are like terms. So 2 minus x, that is negative x. Or in your calculator, you can just say 2 minus 3. Okay, so now 8 minus 2, that's plus 6. So now you can use the quadratic here. What is your a? Negative 1. What is your b? Negative 1. What is your c? 6. And then you can substitute into the formula b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Then you'll get your values. Or you can factorize. But before I factorize, I would want this to be positive. So what I would do, I will take the stuff and take it to the other side. So if I take the stuff to the other side, the x squared will be positive, the x will be positive, and then the 6 will be negative. And then if I take this stuff to the other side, I'm leaving my child there, which is 0. And then if it's like this, you can factorize. So guys, remember, it's either you factorize or you use quadratic. Quadratic will give you the values that we are going to get here. So you will decide. If you are good with factorization, you can factorize. If you are not good, you can use the quadratic. So it will be x here, 3, 2, and then the greatest, take that sign. So it's going to be plus, minus. So now, remember, if we have our child there, we know we can take each bracket and equate it to our child. Or take the second bracket and equate it to our child. So x will be 2. If we take it to the other side, it will be positive. Or x will be negative 3 here. So now we have the values of x. So now we come back to the steps. Did we solve? Yes, we did solve. So now they say substitute the value or values solved in equation 3 to get the other variable. So now we are going back to equation 3, and then equation 3 was 3x plus 2 equal y. So now we're going to substitute for each value of x, starting with x equal 2. So if x is 2, that means here where we see x, we will put 2. So we have 3 into 2 plus 2 being equal to y. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. So that means 8 equal y. Done. And then we do the same with x equal negative 3. We have our equation. Where is our equation? Here is our equation. Where we see x, we put negative 3. So we will have 3 into negative 3 plus 2 equal y. So now 3 times negative 3, that's negative 9. Negative 9 plus 2, that's negative 7. So the value of y is -7. So now the last part, remember these are coordinates. It's better if you get used to writing coordinates after solving your simultaneous so that you understand what are you calculating. So now, what is the value of x? That's 2. What is the value of y? That's 8. Here, what is the value of x? That's -3. And then what is the value of y? That's -7. So now you have solved for x and y simultaneously. So I think it's important to go through the guide, because you'll never go wrong with the guide. So now I want us to go through the second question. I'm just going through. Okay. This is the question. It was from, okay, let me just do this. November. It was for June 2019. Northwest. It was mathematics paper 1. So now this was the question. Solve for x and y simultaneously. Look at the mark allocation. Crazy. Look at the mark allocation. So now let's go ahead and rewrite this. Remember, the first thing that we do, we name our equations. So that's going to be 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and try to solve them. Exams. People who wrote this exam, they had a nice time, truly speaking. So we have 2x minus y equal 8. And then we have y equal x squared plus 4x minus 23. So this is what we have. Remember, the first thing that you do, you name your equations. Let's go ahead and name them. That's 1. That's 2. So now, which one is the easiest? 1 or 2? That's obvious. 1 is the easiest. So we say from 1, write that equation 1 is 2x minus y equal 8. And then from here, we make x or y subject of the formula. So the easiest way out is to take y to that side. And if you take y to that side, what do you do with the 8? Because since we want to make y subject, the 8 must go. So 8 goes to that side. So it's going to be minus 8 equal y. Now, y is the subject of the formula. It's on its side. It's alone on its side. So we can name this equation 3. And then the next point said that after creating equation 3, substitute the same equation into the equation that you did not pick. So since we picked 1, we are going to substitute this into equation 2. So we highlight, you can write or sub equation 3 into equation 2. And it's better to write this equation. So y equal x squared plus 4x minus 23. So now we know, what are you going to substitute for y? That's what we are going to substitute, because we know y is equal to that. So we will have 2x minus 8 and that is for y equal x squared plus 4x minus 23. So now, remember, we need our child 0, 0. So we get rid of this and then there is our child. So get everything on that side. X squared, 4x minus 23. So now it's being joined. These variables this side, the terms are being joined by those two terms. 2 is positive. If it go to that side, it will be negative. Then 8 is negative. If it go to that side, it will be positive. So now this is what we have. So now check collection of like terms. Guys, I don't want to lie. I'm happy. I'm even using a red pen. I'm happy. Oh, it's not working, but no problem. But I'm happy. As long as I have my child there, which is 0, I'm happy. So now this is x squared, collection of like terms, 4x, 2x. That's going to give me 2x. And then negative 23 plus 8. I use a calculator. The one that I have that have been installed internally, it's not working. It needs sunlight. So that's negative 15. Guys, make sure that you use your calculators. The ones that you have, they're not working. So better to use electronic ones. So now, remember, I'm going to show you always, when you are at this step, you need to highlight your A, which is 1. We know that number. Your B, which is 2. And your C, which is negative 15. And you can use the quadratic formula, minus B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. I'm going to show you always, guys, that you can use the quadratic. Don't be ashamed of the quadratic. Or if you are good enough, you can factorize, use the factorization technique. So now, using factorize, you have 2 brackets. Obviously, that's x. That's x. What are the factors of 15? It's 15 times 1. If you add them or subtract, will they give you 2? No. And other factors, it's 5 times 3. If you subtract or add, will they give you 2? Yes. If you subtract, they will give you 2. So you have 5 and 2. So between 5 and 2, which one is big? It's 5. So it will take that sign. So it's plus. Since we have minus, we need at least one minus. So there's our minus. So now, our child, guys. Our child. If we have our child there, which is 0, we can take each part and equate it to our child. So it's going to be x plus 5 equal to our child, or x minus 2 equal to our child. And then we can just transpose. So x will be negative 5 or x will be 2. So now we have the values of x. We can just substitute into our equation 3. So if we substitute x equal 5 into 2x minus 8 equal y, that means where we see x, we'll put 5. So we'll have 2 into 5 minus 8 equal y. Therefore, 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. So 2 is y. And then if we substitute x equal 2, oh, I made a mistake. It's supposed to be negative 5. So that's negative there. And even here that's negative. So that was going to be negative 18. Take note of that mistake. So here, if we substitute x equal 2 into the same equation, because they said substitute into 3. So we're going to have 2 into 2. This 2 is for x, and here is x. So we have minus 8 equal y. 2 times 4, it's 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 8, that's negative 4 equal y. Therefore, can write the coordinates so that you get used to solving simultaneously. You know what we are finding. The value of x is 2 and the value of y is -4. Here, the value of x is -5 and the value of y is -18. So guys, that's how you solve for x and y simultaneously. So this is the hint. Where's the paper? This is the hint that we are using. Solving these things, I'm not using my own approaches. I'm not using my own approaches, but instead I'm using these approaches. I think we still have time for the last problem. Oh, let me just see if I can find maybe one problem on the simultaneous equations. Yeah, I did find one. So this is from November 2018, grade 11, paper 1. So now they had y, okay, they had y plus x equal to and x squared plus 3xy plus 8 equals 0. The max allocation was 6. So now guys, remember, you get the question like this, but you need to put them in a nice manner. This will be equation 1, and then x squared plus 3xy plus 8 will equal 0 will be our equation 2. So now we pick between the two. Which one is the easiest? Obviously, the first one is the easiest, and we just say from 1, and 1 is y plus x equal to. So you make any variable the subject. It's either you make x subject or you make y subject. So now, but I will prefer making y the subject because we have one y there. But even if you make x, it won't be the problem, but I will make y. So y will be, we have 2 being joined by this x. If it go to that side, it will be minus x. And we said in the steps, once we have something that is subject of the formula, we name it equation 3. And then remember, is the substitution part. The same equation, you substitute it in an equation that you did not use. So which equation that we did not use, obviously, is equation 2. So that means we are going to substitute equation 3 into equation 2. And it's better to write the same equation 2, you write it here, so that you know where you are going to substitute. So now, where is y in the equation? Here is y. You need to highlight it. So now, where we see y, we will put 2 minus x. So now, everything we write it as it is. We are going to change only y. So here is y. Brackets, very, very important. 2 minus x. So what is this 2 minus x? It's y, because from equation 3, we denoted that y is 2 minus x. And then we have plus 8 equals 0. Now, just a matter of simplification. I said be clinical when you simplify here. So we have x squared plus 3 times 2. That's 6x. 3x minus multiplied by minus x. That's going to be minus 3x squared plus 8 equals 0. And then if you were to combine the two like terms, this one and that one, you will get negative 2x squared plus 6x plus 8 equal 0. And then from here, you can use the quadratic. What is a? Negative 2. What is b? 6. What is c? 8. And then substitute in your quadratic formula. I'm sure you guys are tired of me writing the quadratic formula every time, because it's important. If you can't factorize, use the quadratic formula, or you can factorize that. That is negative 2x, and there's your x, and then here you can put 2, you can put 1 and 8, because you'll get 2 here, and then 8, make something beautiful. And then obviously, since it's plus plus, you will have plus plus. So now guys, if you were to solve here, remember my child, negative 2x plus 8 equal my child, or x plus 1 equal my child. So here, if I solve, x will be 4, because I will take this to that side. It will be, I'm sorry guys, but this is what after factorizing, I take this part equated to 0, I take this part equated to 0, and if I solve here, my x will be 4, and if I solve here, my x will be negative 1. So now we have the values of x. You can go ahead and find y, and then, okay, let me just find y and give me the value in comment section. So guys, I think I did my best with explaining the simultaneous equations. My advice to you is remain calm when you are solving simultaneous equations. Are not that difficult, as long as you know the procedure, you know what to do, and then you are safe. No matter how complicated or how cumbersome the sum might be, you just have to relax and give it your best. So you find the value of y and you give me in the comment section. Thank you very much.